What's going on, party people? Welcome to episode 18 of Culture 316. I'm your host and one of your producers, Jordan Ihisi. Now, before we get into the show, unfortunately, Mo has come down with the flu, but have no fear, we have a special guest host. My guy Banks is joining us for the first time. So, Banks, I just wanted you to tell the people who you are, where you at, where people can find you, and all that. So the floor is yours.
Hey man, Banks of Mini Pods. I guess you could just find me on Instagram at I am not Banks if that's not the name I changed, and TikTok. But mostly I produce for a well-known podcast called Random Acts of Podcast. It's based out of Florida. Um, Banks versus Davis. I produce for Reggae Boys. Public Enemies podcast for All Elite with Keeks. I do that from time to time. We just dropped a new episode recently. Uh, with Smirk. Shouts out to my guys. They from the same city as me, being from LA.
Mm.
Uh, what else? I think that's about it. Like, yeah, I got a couple things in the work, but I think that's about it.
So yeah, y'all be sure to follow him on everywhere. There's gonna be a day where I'm gonna talk about how this man has been such a gift to this pod, and he's definitely a friend of the gang of the family. So be sure to follow him wherever he is and whatnot. And but we have a couple of little pre-show announcements going on. So first things first, this Saturday is obviously Survivor Series. We got the 316 space going on, so be sure to tap in for that. I'll be there. Hopefully, Mo will be there. We will have a few other friends there, and also our previous co-host, my brother Angelo Carter. Um, is nominated for Breakout Star of the Year for the LGBT in the Ring 2022 QWI Awards. So be sure to vote. Hopefully, I can put the link in the description. But yeah, make sure y'all vote and make sure y'all join us um, this Saturday. And for the 316 space for Survivor Series, we always have a good time. So we're gonna get into the show. Banks, you ready, bro?
Let's go. Let's get
Let's
into it.
let's do it. So first things first, we can't go into Survivor Series without talking about this past week in pro wrestling, specifically with the fallout from AEW Full Gear 2022. A lot of crazy things happen, a lot of twists and turns and unexpected events and occurrences. But we're gonna break this down in order of importance. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was that the Elite are officially back in AEW. It was announced previous to the event that they would be facing Death Triangle for the World Trios titles. They ended up losing their match, but shortly after the match, it was announced that they are going to be engaged in a best of 7 series, where the winner of that series will ultimately be the AEW World Trios champions. So I wanted to know your response to the return of the Elite and the backlash against CM Punk, because we heard some FCM Punk chants in the crowd and it was kind of crazy. I wanted
That's
to
that
know
real
your
music.
yeah. I wanted to know your impressions on it. How'd you feel about that?
Oh no! First of all, turn them chants all the way up because I told y'all he trick y'all. All right, I am very anti CM Punk. All this ain't gonna fool me. I don't care about no straight edge society. All right,
Mm.
I take California medicine, but I won't say that here. So I don't care about none of that straight edge society stuff as it relates to him. As it
Mm.
relates to him, so turn the chance up. The league coming back, I think it was great. At this point, uh, they don't really need to be here. They're doing it for the love of the game, and then we'll talk about New Japan later on. But those are, they underground legends at this point. So to see them return, and of course they didn't need to get put over in this instance. You feel me? And then it's a series anyway that's going on too. So maybe they might get the trios titles at the end of this. I don't feel like they need it, but I
Mm.
thought it was great.
Mm. I agree with you. I love the return of the Elite, the music. The name of the
Mm,
song escapes me, but that man Tony Khan got a different type of money to be licensing all these doggone themes the way he be doing. But man,
yeah,
it was just good to see them back. It was good to see Being the Elite back, which came out this past Monday. Um, it was just good to see the Elite. Like you said, they're underground legends, right? Like they're doing this for the love of everything, and the fact that they came back and they probably were involved in the creative decision of like, we don't want to win the titles right now. that's big. Because most guys at their level would have easily just been like, nah, 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 we're taking the titles. We're coming back and we're taking the titles. And based on the tease and the return, one could have assumed that the elite were gonna win the titles. I know for a fact that I predicted that. I was like, yo, they're definitely gonna win. But the fact that they took the humble road and decided to, factor this into a long term storytelling plan in which essentially both teams will be elevated at the end of it, I think was a very, very humble move and very, very telling of their character. As far as the CM Punk chance, man, it's so disappointing because I was one of the people that was very excited to see CM Punk return. I feel like
That's very unfortunate.
when I feel like he was when in WWE I felt like he wasn't getting the treatment that he deserved based on the caliber of talent that he was. And for one reason or another, based on how all this is played out, it's just not a good look for him. And it's like,
Hey
you know,
man, karma crazy, ain't
yeah,
it?
karma is a crazy thing, man. And I mean, I wish nothing but the best for him. I feel like he's gonna eventually be back in a wrestling ring, just not AEW. But that's gonna be on him because
Oh, yeah, it's a couple
now.
high school gyms he could work at.
Oh my God, not the high school gyms, but man, like it's unfortunate. Just the downfall of CM Punk's public image needs to be studied in some form of history class because it's actually pretty wild. But I am glad to see the elite back, and it seems like their message was that we're here and we're here to be team players. And I'm very, very ecstatic about that. But moving on from that, one of the other major headlines of the night, Jamie Hayter becomes the AEW interim world women's champion. How did you feel about that?
I think it was phenomenal. Her and Tony Storm have this long history since Stardom. So to see them now on a bigger platform, no disrespect to Stardom because I watch Stardom, but to see them on a prominent, actually promotion that's
Mm,
big in America, probably across the world or somewhere in the world at this point.
right.
I think it was great for her to get put over. And once again, we got to remember this is interim because even though AEW is my company, they really love the interim. It's like, hey man, if the person ain't here, this is my title, bro. I
Right.
don't know about all that right now stuff.
Funny thing is, I'm glad that you brought that up because I think Sean Spears put out a tweet saying, to drop essentially to drop the interim. I'm gonna actually see if I can find this tweet, just so I can give some context. But in the interim, I'll give you my my take on it. I think that Jamie Hayter is the hottest act in AEW as far as it pertains to women's wrestling. I think that she's
Mm.
been super over for months. I think that people have been waiting to see her get her shine and her just due, and to see it happen on the last big pay per view of the year in a match against her former best friend. I think that is very, very fitting. I think that Tony Storm had a pretty good reign, really good defenses. And I think that Jamie is going to take this belt to new heights. As it pertains to what Sean Spears said, he said this interim stuff is BS. You're either the champion or you're not. Uh, and I agree. I don't think that
Well,
because
that's the
especially
best
now.
promo that Perfect 10 has ever had.
Not the- nah, his no his after when they were in Toronto after the show. I think that was probably Sean's best promo because that was real life. But I think that he makes a point, especially now that we talk about Thunder Rosa, right? And how there's no timetable for her return. It's like, well, dog, if there's no timetable for your return, we got to move on. So you're not the champ. When you come back, you can work for it. But to 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 have two champions at this point of the caliber of Tony Storm and of the caliber of Jamie Hayter, I think it's disrespectful to them to consider them interim women's world
Right.
champions when, in my opinion, both of them are better in the ring, way more charismatic, and are bigger needle movers than Thunder Rosa was as the champion. But I am glad to see that that Jamie Hayter has become the champion. Do you think that we're about to experience a Jamie Hayter Britt Baker feud, or
We got to. Two of the biggest draws and probably wrestling overall, not just women. So we definitely have to see that. Yeah, I think the merch sales, especially with Britt Baker, stay moving. So with Jamie Hayter, it's the same thing. And with Thunder Rosa, she definitely is a draw, but it's just, we live in America. You feel me?
Yeah.
People want to see, and I'm uncut. I ain't like Mo. You feel me? First of all, I don't have big glasses. That's the one thing. Uh, I cover my forehead. Number two, but no. With Thunder Rosa, she's a draw, but in the sense of Americanized, it's not gonna work. You feel me?
Mm.
Because unless you're a woman of Jamie Hayter or Britt Baker's caliber, if y'all know what I mean, my brother. That's the
Hmm.
way that's gonna draw more than a Thunder Rosa, who is better than both of them. But this is America.
That should have been the
And
name of
don't
the
I ain't
episode.
quoting that horrible song either. What? This is America? I ain't quoting that horrible song, so
Speak. We're gonna move on because that was just the perfect way to get from that. But in addition to Jamie Hayter becoming the AEW World Women's Champion, MJF has done it. He's beaten John Moxley. He's the world champion, and he did it on the heels of a unsuspecting William Regal heel turn. First of all, I want to know how you feel about this Regal heel turn, and then I want to know about your impressions as far as MJF as champion.
I want to say, first of all, shalom to my Jewish brothers and sisters. We almost in Hanukkah. So I want to shout out to my brother MJF. Number two, so up until last week, I never liked MJF. I
Right.
thought the heel MJF was just too much. Like he using, obscure language and talking about people being marks. Hey man, I understand. But him turning babyface in the past, I should say in the past 2-3 weeks, him turning babyface, I was like, hold on, there's something here. And then the match that he actually had with and I'm about to call he Dean. Your mama calls you Ambrose, I'm gonna call you Ambrose. And then had the match with Dean Ambrose at Full Gear. I was like, all right, it's two different type of styles, but it worked. And then I gotta remember also MJF is 26 years old. So
Mm.
uh I thought that was great. But William Regal. So William Regal, I mean Chris Jericho. Once again, shouts out to Keeks. Everything leads back to Chris Jericho. He already said, hey, you can't trust William Regal. I've been knowing him 20 plus years. He's going to do this. And right on time, it's the heel turn. So it's long term booking, as they say at Public Enemies, and just overall in the business. So with uh the promo that MJF and William Regal had about a month or two ago, which is phenomenal promo,
Mm.
you had it quite easy, sunshine. Like when they had that promo, it was an outlook to where we are going. So it's unfortunate, and then it's also showed because they were breaking up that faction. I don't think the faction was ever needed. I'm gonna still get one of them hoodies, but I
Same.
don't think it was needed. But it was great. Now Dean Ambrose. All right, let me stop doing that. Moxley, now he could take his break because he was supposed to take it during the summertime. And then y'all, man, CM Punk out here want to be the tough guy that he think he is. And now Ambrose could take his break, hopefully.
Right. I fully agree with that. It's so funny though, because they were supposed to take that vacation. Mox was supposed to take his vacation, and then Renee got hired from AEW by AEW. So I was like, now can they go on vacation now? But that's another story for another day. As far as William Regal's heel turn, I think that it was so perfectly done. It was so perfectly done because I don't think that most people didn't expect it, right? Like Jericho had his little thing on commentary saying like you can't trust him. I've known him for X amount of years, but for the most part, people just assumed that Regal was siding with John Moxley, and that's just the way that it was going to be. But the way that that promo from a month or two ago kind of culminated in that, it was almost as if like the 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 training of John Moxley was complete and he was beginning to make uh MJF the understudy in a way. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of
Mhm.
like his dues. He had to pay his dues. Same way that William Regal walked up to John Moxley and slapped him in the face. I think that was kind of what William had to do with that promo and to kind of see it all culminate at Full Gear was definitely a spectacle. As far as MJF being the world champion, I think it's long overdue. MJF is the hottest commodity in this industry, point blank period. Between him being the champion, between him, signing on to do this movie with A24 to be a part of the Von Erichs movie, he's hot. He's hot right now. Him and Roman Reigns are easily the hottest in the industry, in my opinion. And I think that if you are,
Besides Bianca, yeah.
yeah, so is Bianca. You're right.
Mm.
If you're Tony Khan and you're looking at it from a business perspective, you have to put the championship, the world title, your biggest title, on your most popular guy, because ultimately he's going to represent the company. And I think that MJF winning the world title was long overdue, well deserved, and I'm super happy and I'm super proud of him, especially him doing it at Full Gear. Like, it's interesting because, like, the way I think that it was supposed to be MJF versus Punk at Full Gear. So to see
Hmm.
so to see kind of like them being able to pivot successfully and still being able to tell an excellent story should show you how valuable, one, John Moxley is, and two, William Regal and MJF are. But in this equation, MJF is the world champion now, so we have to, credit him as being the asset that he is. But for AEW to have the debacle that it did after All Out, and then be able to pivot into this story fully and make it just as compelling, just as exciting, and just as riveting, I think is something to something to commend them on. So shout outs to MJF, William Regal, and John Moxley for building an incredible story in light of such drama that was happening. But for the people at home, we want to know your opinions on All Out. So tell us how you feel in the comments. Let us know. Tweet at us, whatever the case may be. But we're moving on. So shortly after AEW All Out, we got two major developments from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So at the first ever New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom X Over show, Kyrie, formerly known as Kyrie Sane, became the first ever IWGP Women's World Champion. And second, we found out that we're finally getting a one-on-one Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega match. This will be taking place at Wrestle Kingdom 17 in January of 2023, and it will be for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championships. I wanted to know, what were your impressions on these two announcements, and where does New Japan go from here?
They still letting the colonizers go over there and run shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
I love New Japan. That's my favorite promotion, then AEW. So I'm scaring all the women just based on that alone. You like New Japan, you a different bag. But
Yeah.
no, so her winning the title, it makes sense just based on her coming from the States. Well, started out over there, came over here, then went back. It helps it more because she's a draw. You feel me? If they would have gave it to somebody else, it still be a draw, but not as much as her. Because obviously we're talking about it here because we know her more. A lot of people aren't tapped into Stardom.
Mm-hmm.
I am when I get a chance to watch it, but a lot of people won't know all these names. So
Right.
it works best to get eyes over there if it's her. Obviously, because people keep forgetting with pro wrestling, you supposed to draw money. That's what it's always been. That's how it's always supposed to be about. It ain't about no title. It's about who drawing the most money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how much money you make. It's a carny. It's based on the carny system where it came from. Uh, and then Will Ocean Spray, as they say on BRP, Will Ocean Spray versus Kenny Omega. That's fine. At this point, Kenny Omega once again is a legend. He's just doing it for the love of the game. I don't know how this is gonna work out, far as his body, far as his physical. Pause on that. But because you got to do all these trio matches, whatever other matches you doing on AEW. Obviously, you're not working dark or dark elevation, but you doing all those, and it probably works out best because it's a tag, so you don't have to always be in there. But then you got to take that long flight from wherever you stay at to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot on him at, I think, 38, 39 years old, somewhere around that. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to the match, the card. It's a couple matches on there I like. Like, my thing is when Wrestle Kingdom comes about, it's just like, yeah, I know I'm about to be sitting here for about 7 hours. And mind you, anybody that doesn't watch New Japan, let me tell y'all something. Damn near every month it's a pay-per-view anyway. All right. And the pay-per-view don't be 2 hours. So y'all be complaining about WWE. Listen, it's day 1, day 2, and it keeps going. And it be 3-hour pay-per-views a day. So it worked what best during the pandemic, when you ain't had nothing else to do. But now it's kind of like, yeah, if you miss one day at New Japan pay-per-view, you missed it all. So you might as well just run back the highlights.
Mm. I hear that. I hear that. As far now, from my perspective, like you said, Kyrie is probably the most notable name outside of the wrestling scene of the states, right? Like a lot of guys are either, a lot of girls are signed by WWE, signed by AEW, signed by Impact, or are with a company that's partnered with either of the three. And so when you are sitting at the top of management and you're trying to figure out who holds the belt first and who can draw not just money but draw prestige to the championship and draw prestige to the scene so that you can attract other free agents. One of the things that we've been talking about is the status of Mercedes Varnado, aka Sasha Banks. We don't know what her status is as it pertains to where she's signed to, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Kyrie Sane versus Sasha Banks for the IWGP
Yes,
Women's Title. Just a possibility.
yeah,
It's possible, but having someone like Kyrie hold the belt, presents that opportunity of possibly getting women that wouldn't normally be in New Japan to be involved in New Japan just for the sake of competing for that championship. So I think that it was
yeah.
a good move on their end. I think that Kyrie is one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet, bar none. So you can't go wrong with putting the belt on her, and I feel like she is going to draw a lot of money. So shout outs to Kyrie on that. As far as Kenny versus Will, yeah, this is going to be interesting because this is going to be stiff. This is going to be a stiff match.
Man, listen, this is Rome Streets and Mac Hami. All right. That's all this is right here. Like if you like Dirt Under Your Nails rap, like I listen to on the occasion when it's not R&B, there you go right there. So like you said, it's gonna be one of those matches where it's gonna be. I don't even know Will Ospreay gonna do that at this point. You like, yo, you got to work light with Kenny, but we've seen it before. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's gonna be good. Uh, yeah, I don't really like when it comes to the colonizer matches. I be tapped in New Japan, but I'm over there. I'm trying to see, man, when my goat coming back. I'm still
Mm.
waiting for my goat Naito to come back, man.
Mm. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something at Wrestle Kingdom pertaining to his return, but you know, it's storytelling.
Ibushi been out for a year and a half.
They
That's my
they're
other goal. Well, that's my main goal is Ibushi since October. Remember, he was cryptic,
yeah.
tweeting like Kanye
Do you think he's
during
gonna
the
be coming?
summertime.
Do you think he's gonna be coming back to New Japan considering his contract disputes with them?
That's been the main thing. But like I said, he was up here tweeting like Kanye, talking about they done took my mom and doing. I like, hey, bro, is you coming back or not? You gotta talk to them. And then, yeah, like, bro, you telling us stuff we can't do. I'm on the other side. If I was over there, I for sure help you out if I could, champ. But
Right,
I remember the owner of New Japan was talking about it, talking about we gonna work it out. Like, nah, bro, I don't think he want to come back.
right.
He appeared. I didn't even know you could put capital on Japanese words. I know sometimes they look capital. Excuse my ignorance, y'all. I went to LA Unified School District, but
I'm
he's
weak.
putting capitals on them Japanese words. I said, hold on, bro. He's saying something here. He's saying something.
Right. Yeah, like I agree with you. I didn't see the exact cryptic tweets, but when I saw like the fallout that he was having, considering that he was the first ever IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and had a lifetime contract with New Japan, for you to not want to go back despite the guaranteed stability that you have for having a lifetime contract, something got to be going on. So, but as far as back to Will and Kenny, to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying as far as Kenny's body, right? Like it is very, very, difficult to be performing at, the Kenny Omega level at 38, 39. And when I say the Kenny Omega level, I'm talking about Kenny Okada. I'm talking about the Bullet Club, the cleaner Kenny Omega. You know what I mean? So I don't think that we're gonna get that type of Kenny Omega because he is a little bit older now, and but I do think that he's gonna be ready. Like if you looked at his match against the Death Triangle, like he looked in incredible shape. He looked better than he did when he tried to do his first return a couple months ago prior to the CM Punk debacle. He looked great. Body looked great.
Mm.
He looked to be in incredible shape. So I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be in shape for this match. What I will say is that I think that it probably isn't going to be like a hour long match like an Okada type of situation. It's probably going to be 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. And that's going to be it, because I don't think Will wants to work anything beyond that with Kenny Omega, because he don't really like him like that.
He gonna have to.
Right? That's very true.
Yeah, they don't like each other too. People like that ain't no work. That's a shoot. He was
Yeah.
talking about, hey man, you see, he ain't moving no merch. His merch ain't moving. What
Yeah.
do you do?
Right.
Like he stays saying that to Will Ospreay. That is hilarious.
Yeah, he be telling him like, "Yo, you're trying to fill my shoes and you're not doing a good job," and that's crazy because it's embarrassing and it's kind of true. But I am very
It
much,
is.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing this match. I think it's gonna be a banger either way, and I think that he's gonna be ready for it, especially because in this best of 7 series, while he is gonna be in the ring taking bumps, doing crazy stuff, he's sharing the load. Pause with you know with with uh with the Bucks. So I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that it's going to be take as much of a toll on him as it would normally. But moving on from there to talk about my guy Brian Danielson, the man that Mo says deserves more. He had some very very interesting comments. Um, I see the shirt. I just peed. Um, he had some very very interesting comments. Uh, According to Wrestling News, Brian Danielson states that he will not be a full-time wrestler for much longer. So, what would you like to see him do prior to his retirement? And in your opinion, what will his legacy be?
Sit down somewhere. Even before he retired, go ahead, sit down, like my grandmother used to say. Go lay down somewhere. I don't need to see nothing else, man. He's already, man. Like how they did an NBA top 75, they need to do that with wrestlers. They don't need no PWI 500. I don't care about no 485. No disrespect. I don't care about 439 and all that. Like 500 wrestlers is still obscure. All right.
Mm,
I can't name you 500 things I like. Hell, half the time I can't name y'all 10 things I like. So, but nah, if it's an NBA or a wrestling, I should say, top 75, he definitely is somewhere between 20 and 30, something like that. He basically on that Kevin Durant type level.
mm,
Uh, but if he does do something, I mean, he said something about he want to wrestle in the gym with like 500 people. Like, dog,
yeah.
nah, you beyond that. You don't need to do the like a lot of wrestlers, the hot dog and the handshake type thing. Just I don't know. Maybe we actually get that match with him and Squidward. What's his name? Jonathan Grisham. Maybe we actually get that match. That's what everybody want to see. They want to see that. That's that real music. That's that real scared of women
He
music
called
right there.
he
You
called
know what
him
I mean?
Squidward.
Ain't he 5'1"? Yeah, I seen him in person. Yeah. So we got the 5'1" squid, you know what I mean? Handsome Squidward against the dragon. You feel me? And I that shouldn't be in front of 500 people. Just put that when ROH come out, if they get that deal next month or whatever, put it on that.
Mm,
Or I don't care, just 500 people, bro. Like you don't need to do that.
mm.
Like
I
what's that gonna prove?
I think he was just doing it because I think he made that point. I shouldn't say he made that point, but I think he wanted to wrestle in front of all of maybe 500 people, because I feel like there's a certain type of grit and character that comes with the independent scenes and wrestling in front of small crowds. It's a lot more intimate and you feel the energy. Whereas when you're wrestling in a big arena, everything kind of gets lost in translation because you're trying to time everything perfectly for TV. You got to look into the hard camera. You got to be conscious of all the other cameras. And so sometimes when you are wrestling for TV, it can take away the character and the grit of just wrestling. You know what I mean? Not being having to be conscious about where to look and where to throw somebody and you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like he was just trying to make that point as far as like, oh, I just want to be in a gym with not a lot of people and do it like
Big
that.
fella, it's too late. You've
Yeah,
been doing that for 16 years now.
that's a
You
fact.
better look at camera A, camera B. Why you want to go back? You want to go back? You can't feed your kids with $500 crowds. I mean, 500 crowds,
That's facts. Unless you
500
take
people in a crowd. You can't
unless
feed
you're
your
taking
kids.
the whole gate and that's not happening. But
And that's only gonna be $82.
at 82. But
Why you want to go back to that, brother?
but I think that I would love to see him in the match that he was supposed to have against well, the match he was supposed to have at Forbidden Door, which was him versus Zack Sabre Jr. I think that Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. absolutely needs to happen before his retirement. It doesn't matter where it happens. It could be um yeah, it could be like in it could be in New Japan, it could be a Ring of Honor, it could be an Impact, it could be AEW. Regardless of where it happens, it just needs to happen because those are arguably two of the best technical wrestlers in the world. Now, as far as his legacy is concerned, I think that Bryan Danielson is going to go down easily as one of the top 5, top 10 pro wrestlers to ever exist. I think that he's going to have a top 5 WrestleMania moment over the past 10 to 15 years as far as him winning uh the world title at WrestleMania 30. I think that he's going to go down as one of the best baby faces in the history of pro wrestling because the Yes movement was something like we've never seen and probably something like we'll never see again. And so yeah,
I hope so.
yeah, I think that Jesus, that like but I think that Bryan Danielson has so many narratives that run into his main legacy. Um and I think, I feel like he's going to like still coach. Like I feel like Danielson is going to coach and stuff like that. He's talked about like just wanting to appear on Dark and Dark Elevation and how he feels like he doesn't want another championship. Like to him it's about putting over the younger talent, and I think that that's like his main focus. So I would love to see him with like an AEW World Title or a TNT title or the Ring of Honor World Title to like end his career. But like if that's not what he wants, that's not what he wants. But I think he's gonna go down as one of the
And
goats.
you
You
and you
going?
know
What you?
how, brother, you noticed that he said the same thing. Him and Christian, they want to put over young guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, ain't it?
It is.
Why Edge don't want to do that? I'm sorry, because he's
Ooh.
trash. You can go ahead.
Oh.
He'll never want to put nobody over. He want to put himself over. You 45 years, you 46, walking around. You know what I mean? With the Ellen Jenner's haircut. Talking about, I'll be back next year. No, you stay home. No, you for sure stay home, bruh.
You gotta chill. Mo's gonna have a field day when she comes back because she
I
ain't
don't
she
give a damn.
she ain't gonna she ain't gonna be happy that you're talking about her ex husband like that. But moving
Well,
on.
that's too bad.
Moving on though. So Andrade had a very, very interesting cryptic post um, that came from his Instagram this past week. I'm gonna do my due diligence and look it up, but just so that people are aware, there was a previous conflict between him and Sammy Guevara backstage, which led to an altercation. Sammy keeps getting into trouble. He's always pressing
Can't
people.
stand that boy.
See, I
I'm
feel
sorry to cut you off. I
you good.
can't stand that boy.
You good, you good, you good. I've said it on the show before. I feel like Sammy constantly picks on people. He doesn't pick. He never. Anytime we hear about an altercation with Sammy, it's always with another person of color, and I find that to be very, very interesting. Like, especially like Afro Latino, like Hispanic men, and it's like people that would challenge his card, I guess you can say. Like he likes being the token in a way. I don't know. That's the vibes that I get from him because every time he's trying to press somebody, it's someone that he knows he has issues with, and then he throws stones and then he hides his hand. But
Oh,
never mind.
DeSantis is his OG. That's why.
Yeah, that's a fact. But
Like, I don't like that boy face. I don't want to talk about how people look, especially a grown man. But you see certain people like, dog, why you look like that? Like, your face make me mad. That's Sammy Guevara right there. Like, your face make me mad, bro.
That's perfect. Nah, but I finally have the post. He said, "I just want to say thank you. Bye." And it was a picture of him looking at the mask. And it was an AEW picture. All the pictures, um, that he used in his post were all AEW pictures. Um, and that led me to ask, do you think that he's about to leave for WWE? Do you think Andrade
You
is going to
go,
WWE?
you go over there to the losing side. It's all right. Go over there and, I don't know, work with Hit Row. You probably could ghostwrite for them.
Not ghostwrite for them.
Yeah, somebody wrote that for him. So use that ghostwriter to ghostwrite for them because ain't no way Andrade wrote that out. But, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you good. I personally, I think that he's gonna head over there. I don't think that he's been utilized as greatly as he could have been, and I feel like there's so many different factors involved that may not have anything to do, may or may not have anything to do with him. I just feel like he went over to AEW with this expectation of having the creative freedom and being able to be pushed like this major star. And, I don't think that he reached his full potential. And there could be multiple reasons as to why he didn't. But I feel like he would be used better under Triple H than if he were to be used under Tony, than how he's been used under Tony Khan, just because of his track record under Triple H with, with NXT and all that. And so that's just my personal opinion. What were you going to say?
Hey, you see how they got my man's Reggie out
Oh,
here? So
scripts.
yeah, you see how they got him out here looking like Striker or something?
Looking like a Mortal
Hey,
Kombat
bro.
character.
Yeah, go over there, put that black mask on. You feel me? Get sued by Warner Brothers eventually because they're gonna find out. Go over
I'm
there, put
weak.
that black mask on at NXT. Just do that, bro. I think that's problematic to go against Reggie with a mask and that's black, but still,
Right.
that's all you gonna do. You gonna go over there. I mean, I ain't tripping. Like, you gonna go over there, you gonna be with your wife, which it seems like ultimately he wants to do, which is fine with me. You feel me? He been gone for a minute. They look like they spending time together.
Right.
Going over there, you know what I mean? When she come back, you know what I mean, with something new, you feel me? You go over there, y'all go over there. I mean, for sure. Go over there to the losing side.
That's a very interesting. That's a very
Hey,
interesting statement.
he gonna join.
It's gonna be
He gonna
very,
join. What's the name, bro?
huh?
What's the group called? That horrible group, Judgment.
Judgment
Go over
Day.
there. Yeah,
Wow.
be the boss over there with the black mask on Judgment Day.
I like Judgment Day though. I like Judgment Day.
You a man of class. You are a man of class. You a man of honor. You a good man, and you like Judgment Day.
I do
That's your
like.
whole thing.
So I we'll get into that later when we get into Survivor Series predictions. But
All right.
moving on from that, speaking of some interesting news, so Jade Cargill and Bow Wow
Hmm.
finally had their interaction on the Millennium Tour stop in Miami at the FTX Arena. Bow Wow and the TBS champion, the undefeated TBS champion Jade Cargill, along with the baddies, came face to face, resulting in an altercation that required security to step in. The video so far, last time I checked, had 5 million views on the Shade Room's Instagram. So, did you see the video? What were your impressions of the altercation? What do you think this means, going forward between Jade Cargill and Bow Wow?
First of all, Kiera Hogan taller than Bow Wow. I'll just
That's
say
mad
that.
funny.
Um, and then if you want to get Monique involved in the match, that's a hell of a triple threat right there. You feel me? The under 500 kilograms, what they say. What last storm you say, WCW? The under 20 quick kilograms title. There you go, right there. So get all three of them in the match, bruh.
I'm weak.
Step stool ladder match if you want. Nah, so this is one of them things where shouts out to my brother Just Inglewood. You already know what the business is. So he hates it. I love it. I think it's hilarious, man. Because Bow Wow, listen, I love Bow Wow. Besides the music, you feel me? A little Bow Wow. He with the way you move so fast across the floor. Like I ain't forget that was you.
Right.
That was you doing that. But I like the way that he always finds a way to get us to get back in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yo, what's a gift to that? Whether you hate him or love him, it's a gift to being able to be in the public eye. So this is why I love AEW because they let you cook. They had Ross, they had these other people, but WWE is so black. Um, so yeah, y'all ain't tricked me in a year, all right? I remember that was y'all putting them koofies on Triple H. That was y'all. But not y'all Culture 316, but
Right.
it's others. But no, I love it. So apparently they supposed to have him on, are they gonna talk about on the program, which is gonna lead to him being on the show. I think it's phenomenal. Like you just said, the Shade Room, he got 5 million hits. When he come onto the show, it's gonna be more hits because he like a Shade Room MVP. I don't know if that's an honor or not, but take it for what it is. And that also helps people that's on AEW, even though they probably not gonna listen to no Bow Wow because they be singing Judas to the top of their lungs. That's they 56 nights right there.
Yo.
So They be singing that, bro. I'm like, hold on, bro. Judas ain't no good person. That's the one that betrayed
Jesus,
Jesus.
right?
But right. I'm like, I don't think y'all supposed to be honoring him, but all right, bet. Uh, so it brings people to like, who is this Bow Wow? And then maybe it's some little kid from Chicago because they always go out there and I love Chicago, but they go out there every week. So maybe it's some little kid in Chicago that might be like, I don't know who this Bow Wow kid is, but he looked like me, except for he 46 looking. But I'm gonna
Wow.
tap into the music. I want these kids to be like fresh as I is, you know, with their Darby Allen shirt.
Not Darby Allen shirt. I,
And I love Darby Allen.
I personally think that this is gold. This is money. This whole
Yeah.
altercation, this whole situation is money. And for those of you who are mad that wrestlers and celebrities are going at it, this is what made wrestling a global phenomenon, right? Like when we talk about the intertwining of the entertainment world and the wrestling world, that's what created WrestleMania. That's what made it such a hit. That's what made
Right.
WWE stand out, right? And so now there's this formula. You put somebody in the ring, you put a popular wrestler, you put a popular entertainer, you're going to get traction, you're going to get mainstream exposure. That's how wrestling for the past, I would say 30 to 40 years has gotten and stayed in the mainstream light because every generation there's been some type of relationship between the wrestling world and the entertainment world. As it pertains to Bow Wow, I've said this on the show before, man. Bow Wow was so goaded. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing in music now, but there's only been a handful of rappers that have sold out Madison Square Garden multiple times: Cole, Jay Z, Eminem, uh, and Bow Wow. Bow Wow, I think, was the youngest rapper to sell out Madison Square Garden multiple times. I think that he was the next to Michael Jackson, he was the youngest person to sell out the Garden, or one of the youngest to sell out the Garden, which is an
Mhm.
incredible accomplishment. Like you said, it takes a skill to be able to stay in the public spotlight, and I think that Bow Wow has done that over the past, God knows how many years. Um, I think the altercation is going to be featured on AEW Dynamite in Chicago, which is going to lead to him being on Dynamite, as you said. And I think that this can only be good for Bow Wow and for Jade Cargill, because it's not like Jade is stepping up against another woman, which I feel like is the stereotypical thing to do, right? It's the girl up against another girl, but this time it's a girl up against a dude. And you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think this is going to make for a very, very interesting interaction in person in the ring. Um, as it pertains to Bow Wow, though, I don't think that it's going to I think that this is going to fulfill Bow Wow's desire of being in the pro wrestling world, because he's been wanting to do this for a while. And like you said, AEW is going to let you cook, right? Like he Bow Wow wanted to be in WWE for a little bit, but they didn't kind of give him any play. And I guess Tony Khan is just like, hey, let's pull the trigger, let's do it. And so now we're getting this content.
And
We're getting,
also,
huh? I was
no,
just
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna
I'll get to what I was about to say before I cut you off.
I was just gonna say that I think that it's great that they're able to have these interactions, and especially in light of all of the rappers that have been involved with AEW just in the past 6 months, like between Ross and DJ Who Kid and Fab and Action Bronson, now Bow Wow. So it's just like now it's just adding to the list of rappers that are being involved in the wrestling program. And kind of tying this back to my main point, when WrestleMania first got hot, they were interacting with the musicians that were popular during their day. They were interacting with the music style that was popular during that day. In the 80s, it just so happened to be rock. Now it's hip hop. And so now the relationship between wrestling and hip hop, and whichever company is going to fully invest in that, is going to be the company that's going to have the most mainstream exposure. It's not about rock anymore, because rock isn't selling the way that it used to. It's hip hop. So I'm very, very excited about Jade and Bow Wow's interaction, and I think that whatever's going to come from this is going to be very, very interesting. But what were you going to say?
No, it's just a double standard that people go by as it relates to pro wrestling. You
Mm,
feel me? Like I like everything. You feel me? Like I haven't watched a lot of E just because other than Sami Zayn being hilarious. And shouts out to the host of Random Max. I was talking about that last night with him.
mm,
Uh, I haven't liked a lot of things from the E, but that don't mean I'm a bash it. It's just I'm more tapped in the AEW. And then to keep it a buck with y'all, I always say this: when it's basketball, football time, that's A and B right there. I watch wrestling, but I'm watching that. You feel me?
right.
Watching some American sport. I ain't watching no goddamn wrestling. But no, so it's just a double standard because everybody talking about Logan Paul and they be Bad Bunny and all that. Bad Bunny cool. All right.
Cold,
Logan
yeah.
Paul is cool, but everybody up here riding Logan Paul, like, all right, man, I ain't seen it. Colonizers that could do a front flip. Hooray. So it's just like if you got the celebrities over there, everybody going crazy for it. Everybody still want to see The Rock at WrestleMania. First of all, I ain't going to WrestleMania.
Mm,
Unless I have to. Number two, I ain't trying to see no Rock and Roman Reigns. People been wanting that 2 years. Why? Dwayne ain't trying to step in no ring unless it's 20 mil. It's a liability now
mm,
for all these production companies. Y'all gonna have to pay him 20 mil and then cash out Hollywood.
mm,
And Triple H for sure ain't paying that.
mm.
All right. That's y'all guy though. But anyhow, he trick y'all. But that's all it is. It's just a double standard. If he was over there at the E, people would be going crazy for it.
Mm.
But he on AEW. What's the TikTok on? It's cool when I do, or it's cool when they do it, but when I do it, so
That's a very, very interesting take. We're gonna move on from that though. Speaking of AEW, one of the reports that kind of started to circulate um, after or around Full Gear was Adam Cole's injury. Reports have begun to circulate that his injury is more significant than people thought it would be. But the people close to him are saying that he's doing better, he's doing good. So, what are your impressions on this news? Do you think that he will return to AEW or a wrestling ring at all?
nah, sit down, brother. I didn't even know you could have a concussion for that long. I'm like, bro, it's been like 4 months. You could have a concussion longer than that. I'm like, nah. Go ahead, sit down, because that everybody be joking about CT. That actually leads to CTE.
Yeah.
And all them knocks at the back of your head, you could protect your neck all you want. Shouts out to Wu Tang, but when you taking them back bumps or you taking certain bumps, you can't protect your neck all the time. So let's say hypothetically he end up getting hit the wrong way. We just saw what happened with Tua a couple months ago. Yeah, go ahead, sit down, brother. This another underground legend. You done did it all. You done been on ROH. You was on the E. You feel me? Maybe if he would have stayed in the E, things would have been better, maybe. But at the same
Mm,
time, things happen. Things happen all the time. You could, do we need to talk about draws
mm,
and D'Lo Brown?
yeah.
So I take back what I just said. Like stuff happens. It's a contact sport. So if it's that severe, yeah, go ahead, sit down, big fella.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate because Adam Cole, in my opinion, as far as a talent, is a generational caliber talent. And I look at Adam Cole and I've been able to watch a lot of his interviews and like kind of get in his mind as far as like what he wants to do and like what he likes. So number one, this injury sucks, right? And then you take into account that Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish were brought to AEW and they were supposed to have this AEW version of Undisputed Era. Now Bobby Fish is gone. He's no longer in AEW. Um then so now that kind of takes out the possibility of that faction happening in AEW of the Undisputed Era or the Undisputed Elite. And then on top of that, I think one of the main reasons why he went to AEW because he wanted to work with CM Punk. And rightfully
Mhm.
so. You could tell that he's a very, very big influence on his character. His promos, a lot of his cadences are influenced by him, but we don't know what CM Punk's status in AEW is. So to kind of see all these things kind of unfold simultaneously is just super unfortunate. Obviously, we want to see that man healthy and we want to see that man do well and cook. I think that my um biggest thing is number one, I want to see him get well. So I'm sending him well wishes. Number two, man, if he doesn't come back, the narrative is probably going to be that his time in NXT was probably the peak of Adam Cole's career. When we talk about
Which is
Yeah, like when we talk about his most successful time in pro wrestling, and probably where if he were to stay, he probably would not have been doing this, because I feel like, yes, it's a contact sport. You do take a lot of harsh bumps. I feel like AEW um is a little bit more loose and lenient with their restrictions on moves and sequences and type, yeah, and just the things you can do in the ring, whereas the E is a lot more restricted. But you see a lot, especially this past summer, we talked about on the show before, uh, we saw a lot of injuries that were rooted in those unsafe moves that the E would ban. You know what I mean? And it negatively affected them, and when what for Forbidden Door and other events and stuff like that. So the nasty narrative that's probably going to come from this, and I hope that it doesn't, is that Adam Cole in NXT was the prime and the peak of his career. But more importantly, I really want to see him come back. I do think that he's going to come back eventually. It's going to take a lot more time, and he's probably going to be eased back into pro wrestling. Because having a concussion, like you said, for 4 months is no is that's kind of crazy. That's a little bit extreme.
I didn't know you could have a concussion for that long. I thought, you know what I mean, a concussion lasts 2 weeks tops. I didn't know months. Like, nah, bro, that's we ain't gonna mess with your central nervous system like that. Let's go ahead and call it.
Yeah.
And like you said, if he has to call it, and then people think about his NXT career solely, that's fine. Like, yeah, I gotta work outside of that, but you was on the main stage. Obviously, it wasn't on the main card, but it was a main stage because we still talking about it, and that was years ago, when he had all these classic matches. Not that long ago, but still, it,
Hmm.
it was years ago as we move into a new year. So that's fine. Like, man, play Halo like you doing right now, playing all the video games. I'm gonna tap in. I gotta sign up for Twitch so I can tap in, but man, just yeah, hang it up. It's unfortunate, but
Super unfortunate, but we're wishing him all the best. But moving on from that into our Survivor Series predictions. So there's 5 matches on the card. I'm actually really, 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 really excited about this show. But we're gonna start from the bottom of the card and work our way up. So we have a triple threat match for the United States Championship. We got Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory. Who do you have?
me going to sleep. No, Seth Rollins.
That's not me go to sleep. Nah, I'm actually gonna go with Austin Theory. I'm gonna go.
What?
I'm gonna go with Austin Theory. Reason being is because I feel like at first it would be a foolish decision of me to go with Austin instead of Bobby or Seth. But if you're paying attention to the way that Austin Theory has been rebuilt over the past 5-6 months, he's pretty much been stripped of everything Vince esque related to him. I think that the Money in the Bank briefcase was like the last relic of that. He grew his facial hair. He has a little bit more edge. And I think that that's what they were looking for. They were looking for a character of or a version of Austin Theory that had a lot less Vince attached to him, a lot more of himself. His promos have been getting a lot better, have been getting a lot more relatable. And I just feel like this is the version of Austin Theory that can be championed and that people can be like, okay. Whereas before it was just like, well, everything is handed to you. But it's like he's gone through a set of character building events to push him in that direction. So I think for that, I got Austin Theory for sure.
That'll be actually. You know what? That's actually fire. Well, if they do that, then it's like, all right, well, Seth or Bobby Lashley got to win the Royal Rumble
Mm.
because somebody got to take the titles off, buddy. Because I'm tired. The shit boring now.
I feel
Excuse
that.
my language.
Yeah, you good, bro. You good, bro. I feel
Yeah.
that. Now moving on to AJ Styles. I'm really excited about this. AJ Styles versus Finn Balor of your favorite faction, the Judgment Day. Who do you got?
Oh, 10 years ago, I would have been turned up for this, but Finn Balor
Mm.
is boring as hell. So I I guess AJ Styles, man.
Mm.
But
I,
Finn is a loser.
I definitely agree with your take as far as AJ Styles winning this match. So I'm gonna go with AJ. I was gonna say the reason why I was gonna say let me talk about the Judgment Day later is because of this. there was an interview that Finn Balor did a while ago, and he was talking about like his character because at the time he had the prince, right, and then he had the demon, and he said that he wanted to add another version of his character to himself before he were to retire. I feel like Judgment Day allows him to do that, and it allows him to be in a faction where it's hierarchy less, which is kind of contradicts what he was before. And I think that it brings a new layer to his character. So and I like the Judgment Day. Like I like Damian Priest. Like I like the Rhea Ripley Dominic relationship going on. It's very, it gives me shades of Eddie and China. It gives me that. Um, but I like him. I like him, but I do believe that AJ Styles wins, considering the the Judgment Day won at Crown Jewel. So I think that if Finn wins, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna go with AJ. Now for the SmackDown Women's Championship, we got Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi for the SmackDown Women's title. So who do you have?
A pee break.
Who?
A pee break. I'm going to use the bathroom. Probably get something to eat. You know,
Jesus.
definitely not watch this. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna see what game is on around that time. I don't even care if it's. It could be the Pistons versus the Rockets. I'll watch that instead of this match.
Oh my God. So you don't have no prediction for Ronda versus Shotzi?
I predict we all try to stay awake. How about that? Shots of coffee espresso. No, Rhonda. I keep forgetting she even in the East still. I'm like, hey man, cool,
It's the cool for
hooray.
it's the cool for me. I'm gonna go with Ronda as well. I think that Ronda's gonna win this match.
Wait, hopefully she don't got. I hate to joke like this, but forget it. Hopefully she don't get a concussion because Shotzi, boy, Shotzi
No.
be yeah, she look good, but boy, she be botching like crazy, boy. She mess around, do that dive on top of Ronda head. She gonna be talking like she Wakandan. All that black gonna come out of her, all
Nah,
5%.
not Wakandan. I'm crying. Nah,
Yeah.
yeah, I got Ronda on this, and I hopefully that they can be saved. But the next is the
Charlotte, Charlotte come back.
imagine the next match is actually the blood is it's not the main event. Well, actually, it is the main event, but I'm saving the best for last, in my opinion. So we got the bloodline. We got Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa versus Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, the Brawling Brutes, and Kevin Owens. Who do you have for this men's War Games match?
You already know it's the bloodline. It-
Mm.
I don't see why it wouldn't be the bloodline. I mean, if it's not them, obviously it's the further the story that they going with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Don't know what they doing. Hell, they probably don't know what they doing at this point. They
Mm.
don't even know who probably gonna face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But if Vince was there, Vince come back. If Vince was there, all that'd be in order already. Ain't no Sami Zayn. It's hilarious, but ain't no Sami Zayn, no bloodline. He at the crib losing his mind right now.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Damn it. Why?
Right.
He can't even go to Saudi.
That's a. I Here's the thing. I got Sheamus, Drew, the Brutes, and KO. I think that now that Roman has had like the reign that he's had, now that the Usos have had the reign that they had, this is the time to put the chink in the armor of the bloodline. And because you have Sami Zayn in that match, who has history with Kevin Owens, you have a way to make the bloodline lose, and that can further cultivate the story between or the dynamic between Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn, depending on who gets pinned and depending on how they lose. Because you can flip it in a way where
Right.
Sammy's the one that gets pinned, or Sammy has the opportunity to beat Kevin Owens and doesn't because of their friendship, or you know, Sammy's on the verge of winning and then Jay does something to, inadvertently mess up the victory for the bloodline and then it costs them the victory. So they have a lot of different ways to go about this, but I feel like because you think about it, right? The Bloodline beats KO, Sheamus, Drew, and the Brutes. It's like, where else can they go? Where else can Sheamus, Drew, the Brutes, and KO go? I feel like if the bloodline loses, Roman has his next three challengers laid out for him. He has Sheamus, he has Drew, and then he has KO. And that can last him until WrestleMania, where I think he's going to go up against Cody Rhodes. I think that
Well, we've been saying that for a year now, so
yeah,
hopefully that does happen.
that's a fact. But yeah, I got that's my pick. The Sheamus, Drew, the Brutes, and KO are my winners for the War Games match. And last but not least, we got Bianca Belair, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and a mystery member versus Damage Control, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. So my question is, who do you think is the fifth member of Bianca, Asuka, Alexa, and Mia Yim?
It's Becky Lynch. Hey, I know y'all want Shorty to come back. I call her Mercedes SZA. She be doing the same thing. She doing the same rollout. Ain't no album coming out. She doing all these butterfly woke tweets and protecting my energy. Hey man, how much PTO you need? You protected your energy way too much, Shorty. Every year she do this. Nah, it'll be Becky Lynch, and that's fine. But the Sasha Banks, Mercedes Renato, whatever her name is, respectfully, and I love her. That ship is sailed, brother. She ain't coming back. That's it.
I think that Sasha is coming back. Not now. I think that she is going to be coming back like early 2023. However, I do agree with you that Becky Lynch will be coming back. I think that Becky's going to come back. But and that kind of feeds into my prediction. I think that Becky and Bianca are going to win. The Becky, Bianca, Asuka, Alexa, Mia Yim team. I think that they're going to win. Do you think they're going to win, or do you think Damage Control and Rhea and Nikki Cross are going to win?
Not a chance. Not a chance. Becky Lynch coming back. They got to go over there on that side. You feel me? Yeah, this at the end of the year, so I guess they just coasting. Everything is leading the Royal Rumble, but it definitely goes on that side now. What happens after? I don't know, because now you got to get Becky in another match with Bianca, and it's like, dog, we done seen that 3 times this year. It's been fire, but we done seen that 3 times this year. I ain't trying to see that at Mania, whatever they gonna do, because now they got to figure that out. Unless Charlotte does come back, she another one. Hey, I need to get with the E, and I don't even wrestle because they got the greatest PTO ever. You could take months off and still get paid, boy. They said Mercedes SZA still under contract. I said, damn, she ain't been there since like June,
Right.
and May, something like that.
Her paid vacation must be lovely. That contract must have been. But yeah, I
Every
do.
year she doing it.
I do agree. I think Becky Lynch is coming back tonight on SmackDown because she's that they're revealing that fifth member on SmackDown. So tonight on SmackDown, she's going to be revealed as the fifth member, and I do believe that that team is going to win. What happens next, I don't know, but I do think that we're going to get Becky Bailey somewhere down the line. But I think that's
What if it?
Were you gonna say?
I'm sorry. Hey, what if it's Dana Brooke, yo?
Yo, Mo would be sick.
I'll be in
I'll be
tears.
weak. I'd be weak, but I know Mo would be sick. But yeah,
Because
like
he said he wanted to bring back some more people. I'm like, oh, what's her name? Emma. What's her name?
Emma. Yeah.
Matt Cardona girl.
They don't date anymore. Oh, Chelsea
Oh, that
Green.
ain't his girl
Chelsea
no more.
Green.
Yeah, Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I was like, didn't they just get married?
Now Emma and Matt used to date, but not anymore. Obviously, because Chelsea and
Damn, Matt, you got them all, ain't you? But yeah, Matt Cardona. Hey, I can't wait for him. Yeah, hey, when he come back to the E, I'm definitely gonna be tapped in. When Zack Ryder come back,
yeah,
woo woo woo. Yeah,
you know it.
Yeah.
Nah, I think, but I'm really excited for this Survivor Series show. But that concludes our show for today. Banks, thank you so much for joining us, bro. You family, you gang of the pod. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who are still watching, tapped in, tuned in, be sure to tap in with us at the 316 space this Saturday as we watch Survivor Series together. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show, and we'll see you guys next week.